Good morning, folks. This is Sean here, or Rideshare Commando if you're following on YouTube. Rideshare, one word, then Commando. So today we're going to be talking about the stimulus and some of the proposed UBIs, so Universal Basic Income. They've been following the playbook of Andrew Yang lately, and this is presently a proposal by the House. So let me fill you in, because that just sounded way too much, like way too extra, right? All right, so you got a stimulus coming to you. Some of you already got it, and that stimulus is $1,200 plus, whatever it is for the kids and all of that. Now, what makes this significant? Now, in any other climate, I would tell you to spend to your heart's content. Like, if we didn't have the exact climate that we have right now, I would tell you to spend the heck out of that stimulus, because that would benefit the economy, which ultimately comes back to benefit you. But right now we've got a lot of lockdowns, we've got a lot of job loss, and honestly, I'm going to be holding on to the majority of mine, except for things that I need, like equipment that I need, which is going to come out to about $300. Aside from that, I'm not going to touch it. Why do I mention equipment they'll need? Well, it's because I am gearing up for several projects, and this channel is part of it. But I'm on an education campaign. Basically, I got a few books I'm going to be putting out in the not too distant future, but for the moment, let's stay focused on the stimulus, because what you spend your money on should be to take care of you for now until the lockdown is done. Because a lot of states, there's a lot of fluctuations all around the world right now, and I would almost recommend, how, 44% of Americans can't afford a $500 expense? That was MSNBC, that was Fox, that was all of them. You can lean left or right, it doesn't matter. But most Americans can't afford an unexpected $500 expense. Not most, but 44%, if I remember the statistic right. It's that, or 44% would be fine, but either way, it's a huge number, especially when you have 300 million people in your country. But the long story short of a stimulus is basically it's meant to get money moving and circulating again. Because if you watched my other video on the economy, the more money moves, the more valuable it becomes. Because money is an intangible concept, okay? If all of us said, you know what, that money is worthless, it would be worthless that same day. Okay, there's nothing backing our currency. There's no gold standard or anything. It's a fiat currency. It's imaginary. We imagine that it represents goods and services, and we've accepted that. So that's why money and currency is valuable to us right now. But it's not backed by anything. Hasn't been since the 1930s. Now, stimulus. Should you spend? If you spend on things that you need, and you use that to carry you through, that's beneficial. Now, what's on the table right now is $2,000 per month until this COVID thing completely blows over. And that's UBI, Universal Basic Income. Now, a lot of folks are saying, oh, it's gonna bankrupt us, and the other nobody's actually talking about what it would do. There's no economist really stepping out and saying, hey, here's exactly what that's gonna do. There's a sociology concept tied into it. Okay, what are people gonna do? Because we're in a panic, we're in COVID. Okay, a lot of us are in lockdown or are on social distancing, and that's a real thing. Businesses closed and all of that. The $2,000 per month, a lot of folks are saying it will bankrupt the economy. Bankrupt it, like never. If we were to do that for a period of 3 to 4 months, that would be the equivalent of 1, maybe 2% of the DoD budget, the Department of Defense. We spend so much on the military, it's not funny. So, to say that it's going to bankrupt us, that's not the case at all. Now, will it take some money from DoD contractors? Absolutely. Do we care? We're not at war. Don't get me wrong. We could do things a lot more efficiently than we have been with contractors, but that's a whole nother story. But basically, the $2,000 per month, they're saying it's untested, it's going to bankrupt us. It won't. It won't. And they say it's untested, but you look at Alaska, they have the same thing. And they have been working with UBI very well for, I think it's the past decade. So they get a monthly payment if you're an Alaskan native, or if you're basically, hi, I'm an Alaskan citizen. Okay, kind of like I'm an Oregon resident. If you're an Alaskan resident, you get a certain amount of money per month. I think it's like $800 or something like that. It's not a huge amount. It's beneficial because it circulates more money. Now, what can it do? Like when they say it's going to bankrupt us, the biggest impact that $2,000 per month will have, same thing with the stimulus, is it devalues the currency. Think of it like, remember how people were making a big deal about China devaluing its currency to be a little bit more competitive? They did that so that they could circulate money a lot more from the proletariat, the people at the bottom of the rung, the people of Walmart. And the more money circulates, again, the more valuable it becomes. If you spend that same dollar here, then that dollar has gained value every step of the way. But the $2,000 per month, it won't bankrupt us. Make no mistake about that. They might have to cut back on, hey, maybe we'll make a couple less missiles. Okay, not a bad thing. And don't get me wrong, we're selling arms around the world already. Okay, like if somebody's in a conflict, they can call me. I mean, to say that it will bankrupt us, that's not a thing. But when it devalues our currency, if this were just a static move, like if it was just the USA and just the USA is, doing this, then yes, it would probably be a bad move economically, but for a period of 5 to 10 years. And again, it's meant to stimulate, okay, start making things, start producing things, start selling things, yay, and increase the GDP. In the current environment, you already have Canada putting out some money. You already have other countries putting out some money on a monthly basis until this crisis is over, because they need to mitigate the risks. While I say the stimulus is probably not the best thing to spend right now, at least not until we're out of lockdown, when we're out of lockdown, spend the heck out of it, please. But up until we're out of lockdown, take care of yourselves, take care of your family, take care of your needs. And as far as the $2,000 per month goes that's being proposed by Congress right now, that is going to help us because it's a multilateral move. If we did this, we wouldn't be the first doing that over this situation, the COVID-19. So if we were doing this as a static move, just our nation, yeah, it probably wouldn't be a good thing. That would be a move of desperation. And it would be beneficial, but it would come with immediate detriment. But the $2,000 per month, what that's going to do is that's going to encourage people to be a little bit more flexible in their spending. So we're taking a little bit of a hit, but at the same time, so are other countries right now. And the countries that are the most responsive and the ones that are doing the best economically are the ones already doing this. They're already paying their citizens a monthly thing to just basically get them to stay home, unless you are an essential service worker. One of the problems that we're having with COVID-19 is the rhetoric. You've got a lot of people having a lot of ideas, and everybody's an expert. It's the age of social media. And we're going to be looking back on this in about 50 years and saying, wow, we really did that, did we? But the reason people are coming out with expressions and all of that is because social media is relatively new, meaning it's reached the top of the S-curve and now people are innovating within it. And people have been innovating for, the past decade, but it was climbing the S-curve as far as people that are involved with YouTube. But now you've got everybody becoming an expert because they look professional and they're in front of a green screen. I mean, if you see my videos, I've been in front of a green screen, and I may have fun with it, but if I wanted to act and let you know to be afraid and put some emphasis on it, then yeah, I could be an expert too. Okay, these are commentators. Don't pay them no mind. If they don't have a degree specifically about what they're talking about, they don't matter. Candace Owens is a perfect example. She was just saying, I just saw a video on my Facebook timeline that said, where she came out saying, I travel around like 3 days to 5 days a week, and I shake hands with everybody, so I figure, okay, if I've already got it, I've already got it. I didn't cancel any of my events coming up. Okay, that's a bad move, because it's a very selfish move. Basically, she's saying, okay, I'm not going to cancel those because I still got to make some money, and I figure I'm already sick, so whatever. But she's not thinking about the people that are going to be sick or they're going to spread by proxy. I mean, that's absolutely the wrong move. But she's considered a pundit. I don't know what she's a pundit for. Pundit means expert, for those of you that aren't familiar. It's a presumed expert, or somebody who is an expert in their field and speaks. She's presumed to be a pundit. She's really not. But the advice she's giving her, I think she's got over hundreds of thousands of followers now, is the wrong advice. Like, her message was wrong, completely. It completely disregards the spread of the virus. Oh, the numbers are low and not that many people have died, and if I'm sick, I just gotta face my doom. She literally said that. Face my doom. That's the wrong stance right now. That is absolutely the wrong stance. Social distancing is necessary, and that's why the $2,000 per month isn't a bad idea right now. Trudeau is not a dumb man. Okay, and he is the Prime Minister of Canada, for those of you that don't know. But I believe Justin Trudeau. I mean, he's got the right idea. He's telling people to distance, and they've already hit their plateau. They don't have too much more going on there because people are listening to him. People value his opinion, plus his opinion, and what he is, like, his opinion is based on expert opinions. Meaning he's listening to the experts, and the experts are saying, nope, do this, and you'll be fine. Then the economists are saying, okay, well, we need to put some money in there if we're going to be doing this to save lives. So, I mean, they're already doing the $2,000 per month-ish, like they've been doing it. It's nothing new. And they've seen this plateau go down. Because don't get me wrong, I've got 5 people that are at risk if they got COVID-19, that are very near and dear to me. I don't think you can put a real price tag on their health, along with the health of the people that they talk to, which 2 of them, they know multiple people that would be at risk. So if they got sick, they would have to stay completely far away to save these other people that they care about. And that's the big catch, is like, for example, assisted living. Let's say somebody decides to go visit grandma and bring grandma groceries, right? And then a little bit stays on that paper bag because they got sick, and then they brought it to grandma because grandma can't go out and they're trying to be safe, right? But a little bit gets on it, and then grandma gets sick. Well, what happens? Grandma goes to the rec room before the symptoms really kick in. Like, the virus is there. It's wanting to spread. It's in the throat. It's able to be coughed out. And then she ends up accidentally infecting the entire retirement community. That's a big thing. If you're not worried about the greatest generation dying, then, I mean, close down all your senior centers and go euthanize them. Sounds horrible, doesn't it? Well, that's kind of what you'd be doing. That's why I think Candace Owens' stance is horrible. And if you don't know who she is, please don't look her up. She's not worth the time. But when it comes to the UBI, Universal Basic Income type thing that they're doing, like just during the COVID crisis, I think economically that is a smart move, because that frees people up to spend their money more. And it's eventually going to come out of our taxes, whether it takes a couple years or whatnot. Like, we're eventually going to pay for it. So our economy is not going to be hit that hard. Plus, economies that have adopted that strategy earlier on, they are doing fine. Like, Canada isn't doing too bad. No joke. Like, they are not doing horrible. And that's because they took appropriate measures. And part of it was the economy. So when you get that let's imagine for a second you got $2,000 per month, right? Number one, your rent is covered. And then you can go into buying food and the scarce necessities if you're having to stay home because your business is closed, like where you go to work. So this is a smart move for them to adopt if they adopt it. However, right now it's running partisan lines, meaning, okay, it's being proposed by Democrats. We've seen how politics has been. We've seen how reactive politicians are. As far as the $2,000 per month, I think that would be a wise idea. I personally don't think it will make it past POTUS. I don't think it'll make it past the White House. I think it will be vetoed, and it won't have the 3/4 support that it needs to override a veto. So I don't know if that's going to happen. It's either 2/3 or 3/4 that's required, I believe, in the Senate to override a veto, which, I mean, that kind of sucks. If we're being honest, that kind of does. For now, I mean, I'm half tempted to take down the earlier video on the economy, just because I was stating the value of when you get a stimulus. Why do we get a stimulus? It's so you can spend money, circulate money more, which increases that money's value. It increases the value of the U.S. to the world. But the world is in it with us. All economies are suffering right now. For us to be able to get a couple thousand per month just for a short period of time, it's not going to hurt us a huge amount economically, but on the same token, it's going to provide for those that are less fortunate. Because, I mean, there are a lot of people out there, the ones that are against it are also people who are wealthy, politicians that are decently wealthy. And that shows a disparate disconnect. So, for example, a lot of politicians that went to like Ivy League schools and all that good stuff, they came from multi-generational wealth. And when you come from multi-generational wealth, well, I can tell you, coming from a very comfortable living, there is a disregard for what would be considered the proletariat. It's where I learned the word proletariat. Okay, proletariat, people at Walmart, label it however you want to, but we're talking working class citizens. They are the backbone of this country. And if working class citizens stop working, or if they are suffering, it translates up. And one thing that I found very deplorable is, for example, one person couldn't pay their rent before the protections came up, meaning, I believe this was in Florida. There was a black gentleman who got evicted before the eviction protection went up. That is a horrible thing because he said he had been out of work for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. When you're out of work for 2 to 3 weeks, you can't afford rent. And the fact that that person was evicted shows what greed does in this country. But when you have politicians that are multi-generational wealth, meaning their parents were making at least $150,000 a year, $150,000, you have a disconnect with society. And those are the ones that are going to be looking at, okay, how will this affect me instead of how can this benefit all of you? Because there is a disconnect, there is a distance, a social distance that is just, or socioeconomic distance. I don't know that this is going to get passed, but it would be a good idea for the time that we're in. Meaning once COVID's done, everything opens back up, then yeah, you cut it off. Because our economy is robust enough that we will spring back, assuming we get the right legislation. In the meantime, this $2,000 per month, this is me explaining to you how it can affect us. It'll devalue the currency. Right now, all currencies are devalued. All currencies are suffering, all economies are suffering. So in that environment, infusing the $2,000 per month for security and morale. Morale is a huge thing. So how we perceive our environment, the more financially fearful people are, the more that'll translate to everything else that they do. Their interactions with others, with their family, with their job if they're still working or if they're not working. I mean, it will carry over because that anxiety carries. And this is the psych side of me coming out. Long story short, when it comes to the stimulus at present, I'm not sure that it's the best idea to go spending it all at once. I think being a little bit frugal until this crisis is over is probably the best choice. And in the meantime, I really do think that $2,000 per month would be a smart idea. It would be a very, very, very smart idea for the time that we're in. If other countries weren't already doing it, I would say no, because that will devalue our currency and we're already not sitting very well in the eyes of the world. And when it comes to currency and just how wealthy America is, very much depends on the perceptions of the world. Because I told you at the beginning of this video, okay, our money isn't backed with anything. We took ourselves off the gold standard after the Great Depression. During or after, I forget which. But basically, we got nothing back in our money except for an idea. And if people suddenly, like let's say other countries suddenly said, oh, the dollar's worthless, then our dollar would be worthless. Like it would only be valuable inside the US. And of course, if you watch my other videos, I talk about how currency represents goods and services. So America does have a GDP. We do export. But on the same token, we don't export enough to support $2,000 per month if other countries weren't suffering too. But they are. Their economies are halted in so many places. And Canada's already doing it, and they've seen success with it. We've done it in Alaska. It's not a bad thing for this crisis. To give people assurance, to encourage them to be more hopeful, to be more active, to maybe start a business. Because that's the whole purpose of this show, is to teach people how to start a business. And to walk people through the step-by-step. Because I've got one that we're launching very soon. We're going to be breaking ground on something that will probably make me a millionaire within a couple years. Myself and my business partners. And it's something, like I mentioned in an earlier episode, that I've been in my current project for 3 years. And I believe that's episode 2 where I mentioned that. Like my current project is 3 years in the making. But it's also going to be a sustained income. And that's what you can be building right now. I mean, I've already laid out some of the template, some of the high-level overview guidelines for being able to do so. And I'm going to be releasing more videos. I just thought that this one was necessary for the time period that we're in. Because don't get me wrong, $2,000 per month, that's going to help a lot of families, especially, and unfortunately, we don't have a consensus. What does that mean? That means the White House is saying one thing, then certain governors are saying another, and then other governors are saying something completely different. And I mean, the lower down you go, the more varied opinions you get, and this shouldn't be an opinion situation. We should be relying on the experts in economy, like the economists, you know, people who make that their career, and then we should be relying on health experts. And the health experts are saying, okay, lock it down, otherwise it will get a lot worse. People are overhyping a lot of things too. Let me clarify a couple things. For example, Fauci mentioned offhand that, oh yeah, it could last for 10 years or something like that, or it'll never go back to normal. Okay, that's not entirely wrong, but it's also taken out of context a lot. Okay, will we go back to normal? We've got a new disease. It's there. And I mean, we've seen what happened with Ebola. We didn't make it to the 10-year mark of no cases of Ebola in the US, and then it just boomed out. And then thank God we had the pandemic responses in place, the protections in place to stop the spread of that. Same thing with H1N1. We didn't have those this time around. It wasn't responded to as quickly as it could have and probably should have been. But I mean, that's spilled milk. What's that going to do about tomorrow? Nothing. What does matter about tomorrow is what you do with the money you're about to get. Because some of you already got it, some of you haven't gotten it yet. What I'm going to be doing is just hoarding it. Unless it's making you money, unless your money is making you money, I would say hoard it for if you need something. And then once everything opens back up, that's when you spend it. And you spend it like same day. Hey, I need a TV. I need a phone. That's when you spend what's left. But in the meantime, use it for survival is what I'm going to be doing for myself and what I'm telling my friends. So let's just be completely clear here. 2,000 a month is not going to kill us. It's not going to kill our economy. In fact, it would probably benefit our economy greatly because we would be circulating a lot more money than we presently are. People are in survival mode. That's why you had all these people just overly panicking and buying up toilet paper to the point where old folks that are 70 and 80 years old can't buy toilet paper. And then you've got these same people going back and trying to return it. Like, I applaud the stores that didn't allow these hoarders to return it because they just overly panicked. They went freaking crazy. And they disenfranchised people because of reaction. It's an emotional reaction. A lot of what you're going to see in the news is emotional reactions. So you've got these people saying, you should be afraid of this. You should be angry about this. You should be... What does their opinion got to do with the price of tea in China? These people are assumed pundits, and that's where I mentioned the YouTube experts, how we've got so many of them now, and they sound coherent. And I mean, I guess I'm kind of guilty of the same thing too, because I sound decently coherent, but I'm just going to level with you folks, okay? Let's just be real. I'm making this and putting it through CCTV first. If I was doing this just for me, I wouldn't be putting it through CCTV. This is me putting this on public access television before it goes on YouTube, just to educate folks. And if you want to check out my other episodes, or if you're into psychology and all of that good stuff, or if you want to see a replay of this episode or any of my episodes, Rideshare Commando. Rideshare, one word, Commando. And I'll see if I can't put that graphic up there. I'm just getting used to a new program, because CCTV is shut down, rightfully so. They don't want to spread stuff. Before COVID hit, I got the flu. Because I was filming in Portland, I was filming some high school games, and then I got the flu, like a regular flu, not COVID-19, like I actually had a runny nose, it wasn't a dry cough. And then allergies kicked in too. That was not pleasant, not a good combination. I mean, I did that because I just like filming and I like content. So again, I know I've been recapping and then expounding and then recapping and expounding. Long story short is this: save your money and take care of yourselves. At least that's my recommendation. Until this COVID thing passes. When it passes, absolutely spend your money left and right. And the $2,000 per month, that's not a bad idea. And people saying, oh, it's gonna kill us. Yeah, they're not experts. Okay, they're not economists. They haven't been tutoring college students for the past 10 years, including economic students. Okay, and don't get me wrong, even though I've done homework alongside my students for 10 years, I am not an expert in the economy, but I'm more educated than a lot of these commentators out there. So what I'm saying is, don't panic, don't fear, but take care of yourself. That $1,200, use that for food, groceries, that type of stuff. But don't go out panicking, don't go out hoarding toilet paper. I mean, those idiots out there that did that, I mean, I hope you're not one of them watching, but that was just a complete panic maneuver. Okay, it was purely pure emotion. If the 2,000 comes around, I'd say don't fight it. In fact, I'm personally supporting it because I believe it will benefit the economy, because other countries are doing it already and they are seeing success. And we've seen success in Alaska doing something very similar to UBI, which is what Andrew Yang, a former presidential candidate, was touting out. I don't think that was a bad idea. $1,000 per month permanently, I think would cause an economic boom. I honestly do. It would free up people from having a second job to where they can be doing creative things like this, or they can be pursuing their passions, and they can stimulate the economy by pursuing side businesses. Because if you're working a second job, don't you want to work for yourself? So it would ultimately stimulate the economy. Same thing with the $2,000 per month during COVID. So just don't panic out there, but be safe. This is a real disease, okay? People like me are getting sick, and some of them aren't recovering. My best friend is my age. He's got asthma. My girlfriend is younger than me. She's got asthma. Okay, these are very real things, and I want you guys to just be safe out there. But when they say wear gloves, wear a mask and all of that, you know, strip when you get inside the house and wash your hands immediately, that's what I do now. Because I have people I care about that I don't want to get sick. And then afterwards, alcohol. So basically you take a paper towel or a tissue or something like that, put a little bit of rubbing alcohol on there, wipe down your doorknobs, okay? Wipe down your credit cards, wipe down your wallet, wipe down your phone, okay? Rubbing alcohol, it evaporates very quickly. It does get rid of the virus. It does kill the virus on places where the alcohol meets the virus. So just rub your stuff down, wash your hands, give yourself the 30 seconds, sing happy birthday to yourself twice because, I mean, you're an amazing person, so why not celebrate it again? Yeah, make sure to take care of yourself and to use the recommended procedures out there. And last but not least, stop listening to those commentators out there. The reason being, some of them are saying, like Candace Owens, oh, well, I'm probably going to have it anyway, so I'm not canceling my stuff. You should. You should. These commentators out there, they're hyping things up because the more they hype it up, the more they make you afraid, the more you watch them. You pick one that you like and you watch them, and they make money off of it, okay? But they're not spouting good information. They are not experts in their fields. They might be an expert at social media, right? And they might be a political commentator, like a pseudo expert or something like that, right? They are not medical experts. They are not economists. If you want to listen, look up economist stimulus or something like that on YouTube. Go for that. Because these commentators out there, I mean, 6 to 1, half dozen the other, they're 18 and 1 shades of stupid. Their stupidity, like some of the rhetoric that I'm hearing from commentators, some are good, but some could lead us to having a worse economic situation than we already have. So be safe, take proper precautions, wash your hands and strip when you get inside the house. Don't go out unless you have to. Wear gloves and wear a mask. And take care of yourself, all right? Catch you next time.